Alright, welcome back to 3D modeling and texturing class. This week we're gonna look at how to unwrap a scene. I think most of you have done that with your assignment so far, but we have to look into deeper and actually how we actually can save some UV space, and while at the same time we can try to maximize as much as UV space as possible. To this reason, we are looking at possibly a scene like what you have done and analyze it, what kind of textures we want to bring to the scene. But before that, we need to decide how to properly assign the UV and then export the UV into Photoshop so we can actually do some painting. Here's a sample of a scene that I actually from my old work, and I actually just sample it to make something very simple for this tutorial. So all of them is actually a single object by itself, and all the scales was probably properly adjusted. Okay, so probably something is still okay. I thought maybe some of the stuff is kind of a bit old, but I mean still modeling still works in any era. Everything round looks round, so that's what I'm always looking at in modeling. When you want to do something round, it means round. Okay? So usually we don't see something jagged along the way. Again, things that you must ask yourself when you do modeling, like what are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to do a top-down isometric? Then probably the polygon count wouldn't be so much expensive. But if you are doing a close-up, first person, third person, probably you want to bump up a little bit more of the polygon itself. Here you see the bit going into the camera. So if you look at this angle, it's probably much different from looking up and down. Okay, so you probably want to bump up more polygon. Okay, so in this case, my original project this was actually meant for third person game RPG, okay, MMORPG, so that's why I bump out a little bit more on the round stuff, so it actually will be more helpful, more refined in terms of fidelity. Now we're gonna look at the UV. From last you guys learned about texture atlas, so you should probably have some kind of atlas where you actually can put some of them into one UV space. So if I will open up the UV editor, probably some of them you can see at the moment I didn't combine it all. I want to talk a bit about actually how do we properly plan our object before we export them into Photoshop, okay, as a UV layout. So over here you see the table itself, right? In the previous lesson you guys actually learned about using automatic or cylinder or planar. So if you use automatic, probably you get something like this, right? The problem is if this is actually just too unwrapped, means that everything is actually unwrapped properly and everything will appear. Probably is something you need to be careful of. So oops, actually didn't select all. So if I want to select all, then probably you see the polygon face will be probably much smaller because they want to cram everything into a square box itself. When you have something like this, right? So imagine that because the texture is only happens from here to here. So let me push up. So this is the only important place you want to put in, which is 0 to 1. 0 to 1. This is where the texture will be saved and actually export out. Okay, so this will be things that we need to look out for the polygon. Okay, when we look at this. Imagine this now if you want to put an atlas, right? And literally if you make the, let's say, the table a bit smaller, then you probably want to add in the chair, so that chair already unwrapped it already. So now if you want to scale down and I'm trying to fit into the scene, if I were to put them both together, so you can shift click two objects together and you're trying to plan an atlas, right? And suddenly it becomes a bit more expensive already. Because why? The reason why is because there's a lot of these faces, right? It's kind of repeating everywhere. So you want to zoom in, and it probably make no sense if you try to unwrap all of them, and it looks because you're not going to look the same face from different angles. So imagine you're not going to see the inside and outside together. So it makes no sense if you want to unwrap everything. So probably is that we probably just want to keep maybe one or two faces that we can actually reuse them. So we can use the UV shell now. What I did was actually remove this one away. Okay, so probably if you're doing this right, probably you just want to keep only one out of this. So a lot of these things you can actually save the UV. Get this, maybe out of this 4, I'll probably use this 1, so I have something like just nicely something like that. And maybe it can even reduce more by removing this one if it's not necessary. So this will be something that will be something you can think about. Okay, even small or square like this. Depends if you want to have more faces, maybe you can actually do variations up to you. Okay, you can actually remove most of them and maybe keep a few of them, then you can actually be used later on. So it's something probably for you to think about. When you do planning, right, you do not want to take all the polygon face together. Even face like this one, the top right, this is the bottom right, which is probably we don't want it because we can actually overlay it together. But we're not going to do it in the UV right now because it doesn't make sense if we want to overlap them, because we want to make sure we can select properly. So all this one I'll probably remove away. And probably we cannot notice that actually if I go to the chair, right, actually it's overlap already, right? You see that this chair I can reuse the same texture chair. For example, if I want to use the inside, right, so this one I can actually can't overlay them together, so I probably don't need this, so I will move them away. A lot of them is like, you can see that when I did right, I just want to show you what happens with overlay. So probably these are the things that we actually can repeat use the texture which we don't need to put all them together. So probably with just this by itself, we actually can do something or layout already. Okay, so we can put them together in a layout. Then we probably plan it with, let's say, the other object like the bar, this bar itself, and this sofa too, so we can put them together. So these are something for you to think about. You do not need to take everything. Even my couch here, you can see that if I want to show you this object by itself, I only take only one part of this, while the rest of the sofa face I actually gonna reuse them. It's gonna be a repeated one, so I'm not gonna unwrap all of them, because if you unwrap everything together, in order to fit into the square, it becomes a bit more compiled and it's kind of based. Probably decide, okay, maybe one face is probably good enough already. Even the table, I just gonna plana one side of the face only, while the rest of the face that is actually overlay on the other side. Okay, so now actually you will see a lot of things cluttered together because I have separated them previously using a tiling method. So this is something for you guys to think about. If I were just to select the thing itself, you probably see I actually already have a lot of UVs that will use the same textures from the square. So this is something you can adjust later on, but most only focus on the middle. So now once you guys have known about how to properly plan, now let's go ahead and select some of the items, right, to export together as one atlas. So one thing I actually choose with a rule of thumb is actually the large things like object and platform, right, and that's actually gel to the scene, right, which is might make sense that there shouldn't be any, let's say, dynamic things happening to it. I'll probably put them together like, okay, the wall, okay, the floor, platform. I didn't take all of them. You can see that actually there are some areas outside. Okay, so I just want to keep into something here, and then I will take the window also. I will take the carpet here, and I'll probably almost fill out the square already. And then I'll probably take some of this, let's say, rail. So I didn't took all of them, I just took a couple of them to fill out, and I got a square already. So which this part later on I can actually reuse them again. So once you see I didn't select them, but I can actually replace them later on. So a lot of times when you do modeling, when you plan the whole scene, you actually can UV unwrap first, the most important one. Although the rest is like, it's not properly unwrapped, but you know this is a duplicate of the same object, right? So you probably can replace them later on, it will be easier. Or either you have to put VUV them according to this atlas. Okay, so now once we actually are okay with this, you can see that I only needed these few items to kind of like textures the whole room according to the platform using these few parts only. Then I'll go ahead and go to UV snapshot under image. Then I'll go ahead and I'll select a folder. Okay, so I want to make sure the folder I'm choosing. So I'll name it this one as the room 01 UV. So I'll save this one and I'll choose a format. So this one probably because we want a transparency. There are only a couple of few settings here that probably have transparency, which is PNG and Targa. So last time we were doing Unreal Engine, we used Targa, but if you're using Unity, we want to keep it as PNG. Okay, change to PNG, and the size of it, try 2K. So there will be the minimum size that I probably would use it. Okay, so we can actually increase the UV layout later on if you want. Also go ahead and let's apply and close. And then once you're done, you can actually go and find the folder and see this one. You actually have the room UV layout as a PNG file. So if you double click this one, you can see the UV layout already. And later on in the next video, we're going to put them into Photoshop. So this is the first layout actually I done. This will be the main object. The next one is actually the individual prop itself. So when you have a lot of props like barrel and stuff, right? So probably those are things you can actually put them together. So example, I put a table, the chair, the barrel holder. What else do I use? The bar, okay, the counter bar, and probably that's make up most of the square texture. So with this one, I'm happy with what I have because I'm going to reuse the texture along the way, and the texture resolution seems to be much higher if we do this method. So we can still change the UV later before with let's say we feel like screen maybe can be a bit when a stretch UV is out to us. So let's go ahead and UV snapshot, and let's change the name. So this one will be called asset 01. Once I'm save it, and then I'm happy with it with PNG 2K and apply and close. Okay, once it's okay, then you see the file should be in your folder, and open this file and you see the two UVs here. Here's the first, the asset UV file, and also the room UV file. You can see there's a bit faint because it's transparent. With these two UV layout texture PNG file, we're gonna put it into Photoshop. So let's go ahead and let's head to Photoshop in the next video.